Right on. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wagon Pullers. This is episode 8. Little change up today in the format. This is actually, I'm sitting with a good friend of mine, Rick DeWeese. And this is the first guest that I have had on outside of having my two boys on. Last episode 7, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it, Rick, but I'm just kind of speaking to you guys watching or listening. It was about fatherhood. I shared what I have been learning about fatherhood in this last season of my life. And just a few weeks after that episode dropped, my father passed away. And, I needed to take a break from just, feeling like I needed to record. And so I know we haven't dropped an episode in a little over a month, but I will share something real quick about that experience. Is I don't find it any coincidence that my last episode before my dad passed away was on fatherhood. And for those of you that have tapped into all the episodes, you've had a very clear window into how I grew up, the relationship that I had with my father. But I just want to say that I was able to have this beautiful moment of closure. My dad lives in Tennessee, and my younger sister called me and told me that he was going downhill really quick. And I was wrestling with the idea of, do I need to fly out there? He was battling some dementia. So the thought of going out there and actually sitting with him, it could have gone bad. It's anyone struggling with dementia. Sometimes they can forget who you are and stuff like that. So my wife actually had the idea of, why don't you make him a couple videos or a video? And I said, oh, that's genius. So I was here at the shop. I walked outside and I didn't even give myself a chance to think about what I was going to say in the video, but I have a trailer here on property, an enclosed trailer that we use for camping, and we put the dirt bikes and stuff in it. Well, there's a hitch lock on that trailer that my dad gave me when I got my first trailer, shortly after getting married. And he had it from when I was younger. And it was crazy to see, again, not giving myself time to think about what am I going to say in this video, just going right with what was on my heart. I walk out of the shop, I go right over that hitch lock, and I talk about it. And it was crazy to see something so small, it's a freaking hitch lock, and I was had the camera turn around. I'm talking to my dad about Dad, this hitch lock, it reminds me of you. And it's something that I can hold on to good with our relationship, since there was so much strain. And I just focused on the things that reminded me of him that have left me with such a great feeling. And I told him in that video, I was like, Dad, I've misplaced this hitch lock at times. And totally lost my shit here. Who has the hitch lock? Where's the hitch lock? Because it means that much to me. It's not about the hitch lock. That is a piece of my father. And then I did a second video. I went across the street to a health food store. My dad used to go there every day, and he'd get a juice shot. And I went over there and I said, hey, Dad, this is Lassen's, and this is where I go every day, and I think about you. And it was just beautiful, man. I sent him to my sister. She went to play him for him, and she said, do you know who that is? And he said, yeah. And he passed away 2 days later. So rewind 2 weeks prior to that, my younger sister has a conversation with him because he's on his deathbed, and she's like, Dad, why are you holding on? Is there anyone you're not at peace with? And he said, I'm at peace with everybody but Jeremy. So at the end of the second video, I told him, Dad, I forgive you. I love you. I want you to be at peace. This is what I hold on to. That's good. My good memories. This is the strength I pulled from you, my work ethic. I know that what you couldn't be for me, I'm becoming that. And you can be proud of that. Like what you weren't for me, I'm working on myself so that I can be that for my boys. And I can be that for myself. And I can be that for my wife. And I want you to feel at peace knowing that. So I'm going to keep the legacy going and I'm going to do what you couldn't do. And I love you and you can go home. You can go be with your Heavenly Father. And he passes 2 days later. And I just, so I wanted to bring everyone, all you guys into that since, the first episodes have been so deep and such a huge share of just my story and my journey. And I just had no regrets, when he passed, knowing that he was able to watch those videos. And I really felt like that helped him let go. So, that was 2 weeks ago. So, it's crazy. Even when we sat down, in this room here at the shop, it's like, there's a special thing happening with this podcast. It's definitely super challenging because it's about as raw as it gets. It's based off vulnerability. And as you can all imagine, like that's not easy to do, but
it's not easy to do today as men.
Yeah.
It's not a normal thing.
No, it's not. So, but I'm committed to this because, I know it's something that is super helpful. So today we're picking it up. I got Rick here. Rick has been a longtime friend of mine. We met because I actually used to detail his truck. We formed a relationship, a close friendship. He's been a big part of Shine Supply growing behind the scenes just through some social media stuff, which if we have time at the end, I'd like to talk about that. But I want to bring you guys into today. And this is going to be Rick's story of how he's pulled his wagon. Like, the reason this podcast is called Wagon Pullers, because it's about what wagon, so to speak, have you pulled in life? Like, what are you pulling that has got you to where you're at? And something that's very significant that has happened in Rick's life this year, which I have not heard the story yet.
Yeah.
I wanted to wait till today, is that I found out, I don't know, 6 months ago. I've told everybody on this podcast, my timeline sucks. So somewhere in this past year, I seen online, like, Rick starts posting about God and he's like, I found Jesus. And I'm like, what?
That wasn't easy to do.
That is
by
not,
the way.
that's not like something that I expected to hear from Rick. Again, we've been super close. And I deeply love you, brother. And it's just not something,
Love you too.
I don't know if I'm saying that the right way, but it caught me off guard. It was like, okay, I want to hear that story because one thing I know about Rick is that he's not going to mess with anything that he doesn't truly believe in. Like everything Rick does, he's all in. He's slightly OCD, just a little bit. Any of you listening that follows him online, it's like, I'm sure some people are listening like, wait, that guy found God?
Yeah.
I mean, Rick's Instagram name, Rick's Instagram name is Dune Whore. Yeah. So forgive the bluntness, but, and it's kind of based off Rick's past, but it's just like, that gives you a window into like, you're going to see today, like you got touched, man. Like God touched your heart and your life. And I believe more people need to hear that because especially our relationship, like, dude, I didn't try to preach at you. I didn't try to like, oh, here's my little window to like.
No one really has.
No, I loved you. You were my friend. It's like, you knew how I lived my life. And if you wanted to ask, like, I was here for you. There's times I have prayed for you, but it's like, I'm excited to hear like how you genuinely got touched. So welcome again, everybody. We're going to go on a ride. This is going to be awesome.
It's going to get real. So.
Rick, why don't you take a few minutes before I got some really awesome questions for you to help kind of bring everybody on a timeline. But, for the people who don't know you, give them a snapshot into like, who's Rick? even like, where'd the dune whore come from? Like, we're going to get into your testimony in a little bit, but like, just give them a snapshot of like,
10,000 people.
Yeah. Who's Rick? Like, what's a little bit about your background? And
you know, some of it,
Yeah.
you know, I've kept a lot of it very quiet. You know how social media works. You give just enough, but no one really knows, right?
Yeah.
You know, like the name Dune Whore. Let's get into it. So 2002, I checked myself into rehab in Santa Barbara. Alcoholic.
02.
Yeah, 2002, December 2nd.
How old were you?
26. Sold drugs.
How old are you now? 49?
49.
Yeah, we're the same age.
August 3rd, Leo. And checked myself into rehab. It's the first time I did drugs early in the morning. I was out in the dunes, Pismo Beach. And it hit me. And
how old were you when you first did drugs?
God. I think I tried marijuana when I was like 16. I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make me feel good.
What'd you get hooked on?
For the most part, alcohol. But then it became cocaine. And it became not so much the drug, it was the lifestyle. And I tell myself that because it truly is. And I've had a long time to think about that one. But it was a lifestyle. And, you know, who had cocaine had everything.
Kind of like the metal militia days?
Basically, I mean, you know, I grew up a lot like everyone else. I don't want to say a broken home, but it wasn't a perfect family. You know, raised Catholic, private school, St. Mary's in Delano, catechism, baptism. You know, you went to the church, you walked up the stairs and you kneeled in wooden pews, very uncomfortable, confession. Father Timothy, I remember getting smacked in the hands with rulers and getting kind of, you know, roughed up a little bit by the priests in school and stuff.
Wow.
You know, and on the
that's like the movies. You saw, dude. You like lived it.
Yeah, for sure. You know, your parents paid for your education. At that point in time, you know, my dad worked a lot. My mom, my life, like I don't have great memories of great things. I have like glimpses of my childhood. I don't really remember much of it. I remember all the bad, right? Went through a divorce. A brutal one. It was
before you were 26.
Oh yeah, my parents separated when I was like 10 or 11 or 12.
Okay, so they went through a divorce.
Yeah,
but you didn't go through a divorce.
No, I was on my way though.
Okay.
We'll get into that
All
one.
right, yeah. I was like, you didn't have told me about that.
No.
All right, so your parents got divorced.
Parents got divorced. Bad divorce. You know, I think a lot of people who end up the way I ended up, you know, come from this, you know, divided family, right? My dad wasn't a bad dude. My mom wasn't a bad person. They were just really. They were, I'm trying not to cuss nowadays, but they were fucked up, you know? My dad's not a drinker. My mom was an alcoholic.
Hey, if the F words are like under 5 this episode, like you're doing it because it used to be every other word for Rick. Like you're basically like, what are you trying to say right now?
Yeah. You know, I was raised by my mom. My sister was a drug addict. She went to charter hospital. She was like one of the very first admittance into charter hospital. That's how long this goes. She was addicted to cocaine when she was 13. So that put me at the age of like 9. You know, we moved away from all of that to the beach. I grew up in Pismo Beach, Rio Grande. Became a surfer, you know. And at that point in life, things were good, you know. Surfing, going to Bible study.
Really?
Yeah, with a PJ Wallboards surf shop. Made friends with all of them. I got really good at surfing. I started winning like NSA contests, WSA contests in boys and juniors and men's divisions. Almost made the U.S. surf team.
Really?
Yeah. It was really good.
Dang.
I mean, picked it up really fast, you know. When you're in a bad environment, which I was in, my mom was an alcoholic, the beach was like the savior, right?
Yeah.
At that point in life, God was the beach for me, right? Because he's always there. You know, you figure it out down the road, but he's always there. Yeah, I ran amok, 4 DUIs in Pismo Beach.
By age what?
I got my first one when I was 18. I got my second one 18 weeks later when I got my license back. Then I got my second and third within 2 weeks, violating probation, same cop. Went through all the programs, lost my license for a long time. Got my license back, got my fourth one in Fresno, met a girl at a NASCAR event, fell in love. I didn't really fall in love with her. I fell in love with thinking someone loved me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I had changed everything. Got in trouble, went to jail. That time it was real. It was 5 years in prison was hanging over my head. And I've always paid my fines and my fees and done what you need to do. I was always a good person. Just did bad things. You know, and we're going to jump around because if I told you my whole story, this thing would go like 9 episodes.
No, I got you. We got good questions for everybody.
Fast forward to that, you know, I started to dabble more in cocaine, selling cocaine, drinking a lot while I was selling it. You know, I don't want to get into too many details, but let's just say that the police never impounded my vehicles during my DUIs. There was a reason for that, right? I never went to jail. Never went to court. Even when I did go to jail, they didn't put me with prisoners. You know, it gives you an insight. I was selling drugs to the cops and lawyers and doctors and judges. And, you know, I never got in trouble. There's a reason why they never took my stuff.
Yeah.
So I always got off the slap on the hand for the most part, right? Never really learned a lesson. I did try rehabs during all of that. It just never worked because when you're selling drugs, you have money. So the money got me out of a lot of things, right? And I hired a team of attorneys to fight it. I went to Tahoe and made it snow with my friends, so to speak. Came back to ante back up, and that's the day in the dunes that it just hit.
In '02.
In '02, December 1st. December 2nd, I checked myself into the Santa Barbara Rescue Mission for a year.
What was different that day?
I took that drink and smoked that weed. I probably did some cocaine. It was kind of a blur, but it was early in the morning. It was the first time in the morning I think I had a drink ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it hit me, and I just looked around and was like, this is my life. This sucks. You know, this sucks. Where am I going? And that's the first time I think God hit me.
Mm.
So I was dating this chick, and she didn't know I was selling cocaine. Come to find out, her father was a big cocaine dealer, and he was locked up in prison, so that really pissed her off. Her name was Adriana. I remember her name.
Let me ask you a question real quick on that, just especially for those listening. Would you say, when you said it was different that day, and something in you was like, I don't want to live like this anymore, like, do you think it's safe to say, like, that's God? And sometimes people just think that's, like, something in their brain. It's like, don't you feel like that's...
When you're so wrapped up in crap like that and you have a clarity moment, that's not you.
That's what I mean. Like, where does that come
God.
from? Like,
it's God. And at that point in life, you know, I'm going to be honest, I hated God. This is a man that raised me Catholic, did all this baptism, Holy Communion, all this crap with this private school that beat on you. Mm-hmm. Parents divorced. You know, I watched my dad throw his arm through a double pane glass window when he went to smack my mom. But he didn't go to hit her. He turned and put it through and just ripped his arm to crap. And the guys were out there building the pool, you know, and they witnessed all that. And I witnessed it all. And I'm just like,
and then you go to church on Sunday?
This is a God that this is, I'm supposed to believe it. This dude, I sell drugs. My family's ripped apart. Sister's in rehab. Mom's an alcoholic. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Fuck you, you know. But it wasn't that day, you know, and I don't know. It's hard to decipher the feelings you have when it just hits. It hit. I made a decision. I was in rehab the next day. I had to drink a clean out. You know, I went to this place in Aurora Grande called Homeless Guy.
Homeless Guy?
Yeah.
That's the rehab?
Yeah, we used to make fun of the kid. No, it was a store that sold the drink that you could pass the piss test with to get into the rehab. So I drank it on the way there. Got into rehab. They all told me I didn't belong there. You know, because here's this white dude dressed nice and had a little bit of money and young, and I'm in there with felons for the most part, taking care of the homeless. For the first time in my life, I was homeless. And that didn't click till weeks later, you know. So I shut my family off. I got a mentor. I got sponsors. I started working the program. And I was faking it to make it. I didn't want to go to prison. I had 5 years hanging over my head. You know, 6 months into the program, things had changed. I started watching people around me die. You know, people that I cared for in the program, you know, felons, drug addicts, heroin addicts, homeless people, because I had to bathe the homeless. That was my job there. Take care of the homeless, give them their clothes, get them clean, feed them, serve them. Get humbled there. share a room with 10 dudes that are straight out of prison, and there's me. I'm not a big man,
How tall are you for those listening?
Like 5'7". I'm actually 5'8.5" now. I grew 1.5 inches, believe it or not.
You're taking that half, huh?
Yeah, I'm taking it too. I had to go face court, so I took a leave. And during this time, I had met a girl. Her name's Melissa, and her family, and they helped out tremendously. We'll get into that later. She went with me. We went into Fresno, from Santa Barbara into Fresno, caught up with my dad.
So you met Melissa at your initial rehab?
I met her at a punk rock concert for Narcotics Anonymous.
And that's, for those that are listening, that is Rick's current wife still.
She's my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's wondering how you pulled that off.
Dude, somehow you saw my wife. She's a smoke show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Deep down inside, I'm a good person.
Anyway, so
I went to court. I stood in front of this judge, and he had 3 dudes in front of me, all with less DUIs. They all went to jail, prison. I stood up. I'm in rehab. I'm doing the program. All my stuff's current. I didn't go to jail. I didn't go to prison. He sent me back to the rehab to finish and complete it. He hung the 5 years over my head. But I was serious at this point, Things were changing. Things were moving. I'm doing the 12-step program, going to church. I started believing in something greater than myself. Some days it was a skateboard, going to the skateboard park. It was whatever I needed it to be.
And how old are you at this time?
26, turning 27.
Okay, so this is still right in that same time frame.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finished the program, lived there a full year, got out on my own. Now I'm living with my girlfriend, Melissa, Had a wonderful career, her and I. She's a graduate. She's a drug addict. She graduated Ventura College at 18, UCSB when she was 21. She runs her own insurance company today.
Or recovered drug addict.
Yeah.
Let me clarify.
She's never had a legal drink.
She's not a drug addict. Yeah.
No, she's never had a legal drink. We've never seen each other on the sauce, ever. Just crazy.
Wow.
Longest relationship I've ever been in. Before that was like 3 months. Now we're going into like 24 years.
24 years you've been together.
Mm-hmm. I think we just hit 16 or 17 years of marriage. So I surpassed my family's marriage, which is, think about that.
And then you have 2 kids.
Yeah. So, we had this wonderful career. I'm a welder by trade. So I went offshore. Prior to all this, I was the big welder in Santa Barbara, worked on Ty Warner's house, Oprah's house, Costner's house, a lot of big projects. Ended up offshore during the economy crash. We bought homes together. Had a wonderful career out there, tearing down the drill rigs in Santa Barbara and all the platforms and putting up the new ones. Resigned. During that point, it was all Instagram started, right? You had money, I had money. Started building cars. That's the one that I met you with. I had a house in Ojai. So we did our thing. And
so this is now fast forwarding
like
2010.
And I will say this. When you get into your careers, God saved me there in rehab. I was walking pretty good with him. Mm-hmm. And then life hits and you're off and moving. You got the tools in your tool bag to not drink, not do drugs. And I was on like an accelerated program. Like I had my 2-year goal list, my 5-year and my 10-year. Within a year or two, I was at my 10-year. I was moving. I had more accomplishments in 2 years than most people have in 20. I'd gotten all the things I'd always wanted and the things I'd never even dreamed of, addict, drug addicts, owning homes and businesses, nice cars. And, Instagram started the Dune Horse page. Dune Horse started, I've always been addicted to off-roading cars and vehicles. I've owned over 400 vehicles. I mean, you can attest to
just
that.
A couple.
I roll through them. I'm OCD. You taught me that on cars. I was always that way, but this man kind of showed me a different way of detailing when we met. Mm-hmm. Dune Horse started, we were out in the dunes, started a company called DWI Dune Horse Inc. It was a clothing apparel. That's it, whips, flags. And everyone assumed I was an alcoholic, a drug addict. But at that time, I had like 10 years clean. We were... Walked out of the trailer.
Like,
and there's all these girls.
I'm just crazy. I don't do drugs.
Yeah, there's all these girls in the middle of the dunes with leather couches and chairs and banging stereos at 6 a.m. I woke up. We had sand cars back then.
Yeah.
And there's naked girls in high heels, like, the OC girls, the boobs and the butts, and they were all naked doing coke. And I opened the camper door and I was like, what the crap is going on? My wife came over and she goes, what a bunch of dune whores. I bought the name. It became my Instagram. It became my email. You know, it became everything. And it was a way to now play with toys and write them off. That's it. That's how Dune Horse started. We started doing crazy builds. I was always offshore, so I mean, you don't get to spend your money. So I had a company called Kibby Tech build me the Bugatti Max, and that's kind of where it started. No one knew what Instagram was doing. We were just sharing the things we could share.
Because you got on Instagram right at the beginning.
In the very beginning, I was very
2010 or was it 11?
God, it was 2010 or 11. That truck was a 2011. I bought it in the rain. It got rained out. I didn't go offshore that day, and I bought a brand new Duramax. I bought two of them. I bought the dually, and it blew up. Then they gave me the other truck. Built it into the Ferrari Max with another shop, and it broke on day one. We made a long travel Duramax, basically, a pre-runner. Turned it in, got it over to Kibby Tech, and that's when you and I kind of started connecting. I owned a house in Ojai with my wife. And Instagram took off, right? I did a lot of builds.
Let me add that.
I did a lot of branding.
I have to add this. I did Rick's truck for the first time. Is when I was mobile. There was no shine supply. It was just Stevens Detailing. I was mobile detailing.
There was none of this.
Yeah. And I would do like buff out jobs, which we called them back then. Now it's called paint correction. I would try to get locals to come to my house and drop off their vehicle. So this is hilarious. I have Rick drop off his truck. He has his Dune Horse logo on the side of the truck. And I won't describe what the logo looked like.
My wife drew it.
And my wife said, who on earth, whose truck is that? Like, kind of trash for you.
That truck was parked in Santa Barbara Harbor.
She was like, what is wrong with that guy?
Was that the F-250 Harley Davidson truck or the Bugatti Max? There were so many.
That was the Bugatti Max before you finished it. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know, but I'm doing his truck.
And you were expensive. And it was hard for me to justify dropping that kind of coin back then. And I did. And that's how our relation kicked off. Mm-hmm. And then Instagram kind of carried off and the build started. And, you know, unbeknownst to me, I was just, you know, became sponsored. You know, I don't know what that means. I'm not a racer. I was just doing me. Things I enjoyed was nice builds, you know, being a welder and a fabricator. Prior to that, I worked at Scott's Hot Rods too, building chassis and cars and bodies. And, you know, I'd previously built a couple hot rods for myself that my wife drew. And sold them. That's what helped pay for our first car. I mean, our first home. You know, I guess we call it ambassadorship. Mm-hmm. So I help branding of companies. It kind of took off, you know, with like Casey Highlights, Shine Supply. I got to travel to Dubai and meet a lot of people in Dubai because of social media. I have a really good friend out there now. He's a roads and transportation director of Dubai. We're close.
And you have roughly 90,000 followers now. And this was all built organically.
Yeah,
I mean, nowadays you see people, they'll buy followers and stuff like that, but like
I wouldn't even know how to do it.
I watched, I mean, it's similar to Shine Supply. Like I watched your audience grow like organically. You know?
They like the backstory. They like the story of an honest individual coming from nothing to getting to where I was at. And along the way I lost God. Okay. We'll just be clear. I lost God because you get into the
hold that piece.
Yeah.
Hold that piece. But
you lose it because you get moving.
Because we're going to get into that.
You get grinding, dude. You get moving. And he's with me the whole time. I'm doing pretty good. You know, that was, I would call that my golden year.
Right? Which one?
During the Bugatti Mac and Instagram phase.
Oh gosh.
We created Dune.
Not alone that truck was incredible.
It was incredible. You know, beautiful truck. And the whole time on Instagram I was doing it, it wasn't to floss or, you know, like, oh, look at me. I was changing people's lives on the back end. I was mentoring people for drugs and addiction, getting them into NA, working with them, sponsoring all these young men, you know, on the back end of it. That's why I shared my story and I was open. I was so open to a fault where I pissed companies off. Yeah. I shut companies down from my honesty and my integrity because people trusted in me. You know, and think about that. Here's this dude, drug addict, alcoholic, crappy family life, ran amok, and here I am now being trusted, right? And it's all through social media. No one really knew what the heck was going on the back end, what I did for a living. I always use hashtag mommy's money, you know, just let them think my wife was paying for everything. And I had fun with that, still an addict, you be a dork. It's okay.
Yeah.
So I'm mentoring all these kids. Social media is doing its thing. None of us know what's going on. We grew a lot of brands. I grew Casey Highlights, helped them develop, I believe, into what they are today. All the way back into like R&D with a lot of companies in the off-road industry. All while I'm working offshore, doing crazy things, watching people die. It's real out there. Lost God, I decided to finally get out of that industry. And then at this point, Instagram is blowing and going. I have a name, I have clout, I grew my followers up. I'm getting paid by, certain companies in the industry, thousands of dollars a month. And I think I kind of started that in our off-road group. Again, I'm not a racer. I'm not a shop. I'm just a dude telling a story, sharing my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I thought about. Honesty, integrity, try to remember some of the values, instill them. And at the same time, I lost that in my own. Luckily, I had my wife, got married to the woman I met in rehab. Obviously, we have 2 kids. Got out of the oil industry. I should say this, and this will kind of hit on your father passing. A year after I did my 1 year, got my apartment in Santa Barbara with my wife after rehab, I lost my mom. Dude, like thrown in the trenches right out of the gate, on your own. Mom dies. Suicide, oxycodone and morphine back patches. And that was hard. I didn't get the video. I shunned my entire family off in rehab. I told them, fuck off. I'm doing this on my own. Because they always bailed me out.
Mm-hmm.
I did get to see her. She did get to meet my wife. She was clean and sober that day. You mentioned the tow hitch. When my mom passed away, I gave everything to the sisters. They took the furniture, the cars, like whatever. I didn't want it. I took a can of pork and beans so I could have a dinner with my mom. Stupid. I took this box of all these stupid Hot Wheels and her sage, all these dumb things, her crystals, her prized possessions. You say fatherhood. My son found the box like a month ago. And now my mom's, I get to give him these things. That hit me hard. You spoke on forgiveness. I hated my mom. I hated holidays. Fuck Mother's Day, That's a shitty thing to do to my wife. This year, I finally forgave my mom. On Mother's Day. We'll get into how all that hit, but that was the first time my wife had a good Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. We hold all this shit, No matter how perfect it looks on social media, someone's always fucked up. We're only touching on certain things, I can tell you. There's a lot of mental abuse that happened in my life. A lot of physical abuse. Not from my father, not from my mother, but other things. Oh, thanks. And you lose track of all of this shit that happens in life. Everything happens so fast. But I wanted to share that because my mom never got to meet my kids. She saw me sober and clean in 1 day. She doesn't know what I've accomplished. And I shunned my dad out too. For the most part, I'm not into family at all because I didn't have a good family. So I got to forgive my mom on Mother's Day. I think my wife had a good Mother's Day finally.
That's beautiful.
Found that he found this little box of all these cars, so now I get to give him Christmas gifts from my mom. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, jump back to social media, branding, all this stuff. That truck was it was kind of the beginning of social media for me and branding, relationships. I got to develop one with you. You showed me how to do paint corrections. You invited me in. I got good at it. You know, we got to bang on Vinny's car from the Hoonigan. Remember that? Mm-hmm. You were on top. I was underneath.
Yeah.
We do a lot of things quietly. I'm always in the background quietly on projects. Yeah. I don't have an ego. I don't believe I do. I put the work in kind of guy. You know, fast forward, you know, we started a company, amazing company through social media called utvsource.com. And that's been a hell of a run the last 6.5, 7 years. Big company now. It's a big company, you know. There's 4 guys on our cell phones. I don't know how many employees are there now, but there's over 30. At one point, there was like 45. I got to build UTVs for a living on top. You know, I built a lot of other amazing vehicles through Kibby Tech, and we always used Shine Supply. And we got to meet the Diesel brothers and Dave Sparks. I was the Patriot Tire rep. I went to Dubai for him as well. And, you know, I got to bring a lot of companies along with me. And I felt like at that point in life, and still to this day, I've always, you know, there's me, the name and the face, but I always kind of put him back here. And I let everyone else kind of just shine. That was the whole point. You know, that's what you do. That's what I did. I never really wanted it about me. It just kind of, some way went that way, right? You know, so here's this homeless guy, ran through all this stuff. Along the way, there's a lot of crap that's happened. I lost God big time. Wasn't in it for the money. It was paying the bills, you know. I resigned from my employment. This is where the story starts, I guess.
Yeah.
My last YouTube for UTV Source, I shot across the street from my house. Literally pull out of my entry gates and into the church. I've shot a lot of videos there. This is the first time I was looking for someone. And it was the maintenance guy I found her. He found me because I walked around that whole church. It's a big church, dude. Asked for his permission. The guy shooting the video was shooting the video. And I was so uninterested in it at that point, you know, because along the way, the passion was burned out by people in the industry in my life that just kind of, I wasn't allowed to be me anymore. Let's just say that. You know, there's Dunehor and then there's Rick at UTV Source. 2 different people, right? When your business gets to a certain level, you can't be you anymore. You have to be someone else for other people because you're feeding those families. I got it. I understood the assignment. Yeah. I played the role to a T. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out too amazing for me because when you're one of the individuals that helped create and start a business and you're no longer, I hate using these words, desired or needed for that role, or you're not looked upon as the same in that role, you become unimportant. There was a lot of hard days at work, you know, being told by others that don't know what they're doing to do it this way because this is what needs to happen. And you're just sitting in there just going, yeah, I'm feeding your family for what I did, my sacrifices in the past, you know. I played the role, though. I did what they wanted to do because the flip side of that is the gratification of feeding their families. I know what it's like not to have, you know. So I stepped away from my my role, but prior to stepping away, I met that man, and I'd never been to that church. I actually hated that church. I don't know why I hated that church.
That's the church right by your house?
Yeah, dude.
Really?
Right across the street. Across the street,
literally.
dude.
Yeah.
Literally across the street. Never went to it. I almost had a hatred for it, you know, because people would be pulling out of church and I couldn't get out of my gate. Pissed me off, dude.
Oh, there's that guy.
There's that. So, you know.
And this is in Surprise, Arizona.
Surprise, Arizona.
Right, yeah.
You know, I went back to look for that man the next day. He prayed for me.
What made you go back?
Kind of like the same day at the dunes. You know, that desire to change. Something clicked.
I mean, to go from like hating it, the church just being there and it's annoying you to like, I'm going to go back over there.
And ask to look
Yeah.
for someone.
Yeah.
That's not me,
That's not
dude.
you.
You know, I go 100% on everything. I'm always all in, you know, always all in. Because if you're not all in, then you're just kind of, you're never going to go anywhere.
Yeah,
you can't just put my feet in and get them wet. Yeah, that doesn't work for anyone. I've never heard a story that said that. I put my feet in to get wet and you have a success story. I went back. He prayed for me, dude. I started bawling like a little girl. I get teared up all the time nowadays, you know. I lost who I was. And it's a good thing. You know, I'm not upset at the fact that I'm not the same guy I was 6 months ago. I'm grateful I'm not. I'm a little bummed I didn't get to dictate my own path along the way, right? But I've come to the understanding that at the end of the day, I didn't have control over that shit anyways. He prayed for me, man. It was a powerful prayer. His name's Danny Garcia. I started going to men's group shortly after, like the next week. Started going to church, leading my family to church. Which is weird. Weird. God was with me the whole time.
What did Melissa say?
I asked Melissa. That's a stupid question when I asked her too. Yeah, it's stupid for me when I asked her. I go, because I started going to church. I'm like, do you believe in God? And when I said it, I fucking knew the answer. She's the only reason we're still here. She was the rock. Yeah, of course she did.
What did she say?
She said, I've had him my whole life. That was her response. That was it. There was no other conversation. It was, I've had him my whole life. I just have him differently than you do. That's it. There was, I think 6 months prior to leading up to all this, I saw this thing on Instagram. And it was Revival, Arizona. So I took the whole family. I signed us up online to go to the Salt River and get baptized as a family. So I made an attempt because I was missing a lot in my life. Dude, I'm so sad. I was so sad the last year and a half, last 3 years, just being controlled. And it was, I understand why. I understand big business now a lot better than I did back then. I understand what sacrifices need to be made so that others can move on in life and we can grow. But it made me sad because I had to change. I had to be someone I didn't want to be. I've always been an honest individual. I'm not saying I was dishonest. It just wasn't me.
Well, let me ask you a question because I want to stay on what you were just talking about. What would you say, because you grew up in a very religious environment. So what would you say the difference is to you between religion and finding your actual relationship with God and the impact it's having on your inner man? Not like, oh, you've changed some of your behaviors and you go to church on Sunday morning now, but like I just sitting with you and I've known you so long, like even just sitting with you, like I can feel that your energy is different and like there's changes that have happened inside of you. So what would you say is the difference between religion and a relationship with God that you clearly gravitated back to when you went back over to that church and had that guy pray for you? What's the difference?
I made a decision. One was forced on me at a young age. And I made a decision. I made a choice. The difference is religion to me when I was a kid was, go to church, get baptized, Holy Communion, dress up, do this, kneel, shake hands. I believed it all to be networking. My family paid for that. School, they paid for that. And I despised all of that. To me, it was just smoke
like
and
the
mirrors.
politics.
Yeah, so much. It's like to finding God in rehab, to not losing him, but again, I didn't get to be me at some point. Things changed, and a lot of that's on me, and a lot of that is just, unfortunately, the way of the world. I lost track. I lost sight of what was more important to me. And, you know, at that point in time, it's just you're in survival mode. You're doing well. You're providing for your family. I have kids now. I have a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old. So, you know, you go from enjoyment of the whole process to like the grind. And then just changed, you know, and change is hard, right?
But you also said that when you were growing up, like you hated God.
I hated God.
And I understand what it's like to grow up in a gnarly religious environment, you know? But it seems like along the way, like you saw God keep showing up in your life despite of you even feeling like you lost sight of him or you walked away from him. Like it seems to me like you still felt his pursuit of you, which I think is so important for people to realize is that there's so many people that can relate to like growing up in those kind of religious environments where it's all about the form and the structure and the politics, and people define that as God. They're like, that's God. And it's like, no, it's not. There's the language and there's the function, but like, I more look at like your whole entire life through all your struggles, like he kept pursuing you to the point where like you walk over to a church that you couldn't stand and have a guy pray for you. Yeah. And again, you're not the guy that just fakes it. Like you're not going to let anybody pressure you into anything.
Man, I've had to give up
that's why I'm so intrigued by your testimony, because like he truly pursued you.
Yeah, and I don't want to say I turned my back on him, but it's just like.
But did he turn his back on you?
Never. Never. Not once. You know, one of the things I took from my mom's house was one of those stupid pictures of the Footprints poem. And it's God carrying you. The single set of footprints. I think it's
stupid, man.
I have it. It's in a closet. I've never hung it. You know? Never hung it. Maybe I should one day. But I always revert back to that. Like he carried me through that. You know, I'm a little bit older today. I've been through a lot of crap in my life. There's a lot of things you guys can't get into. You know, I think it was a choice. I'd been beaten down so much mentally and emotionally and physically. I was just at that point where it's like, I fucking surrender. You know, I'm done doing it my way. I wasn't getting to do it my way. You know, it's like, when he prayed for me, just, dude, it changed. And then I was like, I resigned from my employment with grace. You know, there's other reasons, and we don't need to get into any of that crap, but I told you this earlier. You know, I look at it all the time. God's with me now. He's already been to where I'm going, and he's still with me. He never turned his back on me. I did the opposite. You know, and you're right. He was pursuing me. He's pursuing everyone. That's the thing. And I was going down a road that was not going to be good for my family. You know, there's that moment of clarity. I got this kid, this little boy. I got this little girl. I've got my wife. I'm drinking 7 Red Bulls a day, smoking a pack of cigarettes in a day. Don't drink water. I worked so much. You know, I was the videoer, the builder, the talkabouter, the Instagrammer, the YouTuber, the storyteller. And I'd have to load the drive until I didn't see my family. I was literally locked in my shop for 10, 12, 13 hours a day. I missed my little girl growing up. I was right next door. And today, I see the guy that I was, and that guy was fucking lame. Period. I was doing it all for money, you know, just to sustain. And it's like, that was stupid, you know. You know, the day that Danny prayed for me changed my life. You know, I didn't think that was my last YouTube for the company. It's hard walking away from something. And I didn't walk away. It wasn't a good fit anymore for my life.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to say that.
Change. Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, I see my partners and I didn't get to say goodbye to my employees. You know, all these things meant a lot to me. I'm on a different path now, you know. All of that was really hard to leave behind because that was my life. You know, my passion. But when I found God, it got easier, right? I remember I kept going over there and asking him to pray for me, you know?
Really?
Yeah, dude. It was something that...
Like every day?
Fuck yeah. I was on the
So he's
phone
a real
with-
one, huh?
No, dude. His prayers
You
are
were
just
that guy.
knock
Hey,
your
bro,
socks.
it's me again.
Yeah, and we've become amazing friends.
He sounds like a legend.
He's a good man, and he's going through more crap than I'm going through. Like, I look at my problems that I was going through. They're not even they're quality problems again. You know, I'm back to that point in life. Everything's a quality problem. I get to do this. I get to go deal with that. I get to walk through this. I need to learn a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if the other people in your life need to learn the lessons or they need to walk through certain things. You push all that away.
Mm-hmm.
That's on them. This is on you. You know, I was doing men's group. I'm waking up, watching the sunrise every morning. I'm posting about God because that's my life today. You know, I lost track of my story. I started telling a story for other things. You know, the whole time I was doing social media was to bring men to get clean, get sober, that I did. They liked my backstory. And I didn't get to do that anymore. And that hurt. I get to do that again today. You know, you put away all the cool things we got to do together in building a business and stuff, and that's rad. And that was a great point in my life. And it still is. I'm still an owner there, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't take that from me. Still there, I'm just not working there. You know, I just kept praying. I kept talking to God. I started reading the Bible. I opened up. Fuck, this is going to blow your mind, dude. In that thing of my mom's, right? I opened it up, you know, because my son was digging in it. Then I found a Meditations for Men book, Who Do Too Much, that my mom gave me and wrote, I love you. I wish you the very best. That was when I went into rehab, and I just threw that book in there, and, you know, you get blown and going, and I got reintroduced to me. I started reading that, and it hit so hard with everything I was dealing with in church and in life. And it flipped a switch, dude. I mean, the fire just kept burning and burning, and I wanted to know more. I wanted to understand, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? You know, I know that God didn't bring me this far to drop me on my head. All these things were laid out, and this is what I have to walk through. I was in the kitchen one day. You know, this was a couple weeks after. You know, I was in between the island and the microwave and the stove. I don't cook, you know, so now I'm like making my own food again. Like, this is weird. But I closed my eyes and I just, you know, I was having a bad day. And I asked God, I'm going to close my eyes. And when I open them, I want to see you and hear you. I fell to my knees, dude. I don't really remember exactly what happened. It was peace. I started like just going, you know, like this weird, I don't know how long it went on for. It went on for a little bit, you know what I mean? I got up. It was just different. Just different. I don't care what people think about me anymore. My past is my past, you know? And I didn't live a bad life. And I'm not living a bad life. My perspective on life and the way I'm going to live my life is what's changed. I know that God's always been with me. He's with me now. He's here, you know. I've had to end a lot of relationships. And God's put new men in my life for the right reasons. No one would have ever expected this swap, you know, this transformation, shift in me. You know, through that whole process, I quit energy drinks. That was hard. You know, I transferred my addiction from drugs and alcohol almost 25 years ago, right into energy drinks and cigarettes. right into vehicles, right into all these other things. And, I quit energy drinks. I haven't had one in almost 6 months. I quit smoking. The hardest times of my life.
And how many were you having a day?
Almost 2 packs, dude.
No, energy drinks.
Oh, 7 big Red Bulls and 3 Cokes. And
did everybody catch that? 7
big Red Bulls a day. My back was starting to hurt so bad.
So the 16 ounce.
The big ones. The big Red Bulls. The $7 Red Bulls. We added it up. I was at $2,300 a month on Red Bull and cigarettes. Like, who does that? That's a mortgage payment. You get going in life and you just don't even realize what you're doing sometimes. Now I have to stop and take inventory all the time, hold myself accountable for things that we just don't even think about.
So let me ask you a question about that. What's the difference between sobriety and freedom? And before you answer that, like just a little insight into that question. You had been sober for 20 plus years, but you obviously weren't free. What's the difference to you now?
Being clean and being sober is an action that you do every day. Having freedom with God is yet another choice. The biggest difference is now I get to live that way. And the only way I get to live that way is by being vulnerable, letting him into my life, not forcing issues. I can control the alcohol and the drugs. God gave me that a long time ago when I prayed for that in rehab. Stopping alcohol and drugs was easy. I prayed for it. I hit my knees in rehab. I did the work. I went to anger management. I got a mentor. I got a sponsor. I did the step work. I took the inventory. I worked those issues out. For the most part, I was a dry drunk for the last 20 some odd years. I didn't let God back in my life because I took off running and going and, chasing dreams that were stupid.
So would you almost say that sobriety is something that we can do, but freedom is something that God does for us? Like, we can choose sobriety, but like, I personally believe like true inner freedom comes from God. When you're free, you don't have to go from this addiction to now something sugar or porn or dual addiction. Like, you just go from one thing to the next. Like,
I've always used a God. That sounds crappy. Like, you use him when you're in bad points of your life.
Yeah, like the break glass in case of emergency.
Like,
I'm back. My back's against the wall.
Yeah.
God help me. I'll never do this again.
Yeah, and you barter with him, and he makes those deals. He makes those deals with you. Dude, if you don't believe he doesn't make those deals with people, he does. So does the devil.
Straight up, he does.
So does the devil.
Straight up.
I used to look at people with money and things and power and be like, wow, God really blessed them. And now I look at it differently. And it's like, did God bless them, or did the devil walk into their life and barter with them? And this is why they have what they have.
Yeah, like there's a real enemy of our soul, and he will keep you stuck with good things if it keeps you stuck.
Right? I've had to walk away from a lot of things in the last 6 months. Not because I wanted to, not because I don't love them, and not because it's something I don't want in my life, but it's something that I'm not supposed to have right now in life. Period. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest difference between sobriety and freedom is I gave my life to God. That's the freedom. I got baptized on Father's Day at CCB Church.
I love it.
Yeah, in front of my family, in front of everyone.
What was that like?
I chase the field every day. I cry a lot when I talk about God.
I love it.
Same with worship music, prayer. That's okay. It's not that I'm a broken individual, because I am. We're all broken. God likes broken men and women. If you didn't know, now you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's because he gets to show his testimony.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
That's where I get my strength from today.
That's right.
We're just getting a taste of a little bit of me. Just a little bit, not everything. Not all the stuff I've had to walk through to get to here. I think that's the change. The freedom is giving your life to God, getting baptized. It's not about going to church. It's not about religion.
That's right.
It's about doing what God wants to do through you, not for you. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like you
have to dig to get to that point.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
I mean,
because we come at everything in life typically from a selfish perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When God created everything, there was no sin. No sin. He asked one thing. Don't eat the forbidden fruit. And it got eaten because man and woman, or woman and man, wanted to be like God. They wanted to have control when they already had control in a perfect place. We're going through some church right now because a lot of men blame women for a lot of things. Because Eve ate the apple and Adam was right next to her. Right?
Yeah.
But Adam fucked up.
How you like that for some real talk, folks, huh?
He could have stopped
That'll
Eve
preach.
and been the man of God.
Straight up.
And would we be in a different place? I mean, no, because someone else.
I remember he blamed her. He's like, well, she did it first.
Well, how many of us do that in life? I do it all the time.
I'm guilty.
That's the biggest thing on freedom, too, is, man, the self-acknowledgement of the
Straight
actions
up.
that we do.
Extreme ownership.
Fuck. Just because you're trying to walk. I shouldn't say you're walking. Trying to be like God. We are so far from it. I'm so fucked up. I've said it 6 times now, so I got to stop saying it.
You're all good, brother. What do you say to somebody that says God's a crutch?
You're an idiot. You're the only reason you're
like
still
that.
here. You're an idiot. Straight up, open your eyes. Go to church. Get into a men's group. I'm broken, and I don't know why people listen to me. I think it's because of my experiences.
Yeah, but the thing is, man, is I look at somebody like you could do life without God. I've watched you. You're resourceful. You have a following. You're extremely talented. You're an incredible welder. Your knowledge about vehicles and engineering on suspension, it's on another level. Like you can do life without God.
No, for
like
sure.
this. So
It would suck.
what I know of you is it's not like you're just this busted down, broken down man, and this was your last resort to like give your life to God. I'm hearing you're like, I was doing all that. I have the following. I have the influence. I was empty inside, and there's only one person that can fill. I call it a God hole.
Mm-hmm.
And you chose to let go of your broken perspective of God in this religious, toxic environment you grew up in, and you chose to like actually connect with your Creator. And I think it's so important for people to hear that, to be involved in the emotion today, to see you cry, because I would expect that. How can you talk about something that has pivoted your heart? Right? It's one thing to have some nice things happen externally that give you a moment of joy and you share a cool story about it. We're feeling today like your heart got touched, man. Like God is repairing your heart and things that have kept you in places of pain and brokenness your whole life.
Yeah.
And I love that people were able to see that today.
Well, it's weird because when I resigned from my employment, I really got off of social media for the most part. I was using it to let people know what I was going through. I wasn't being crazy vulnerable. That's what I was going through. The little things I was putting up in stories with the new music that I choose to listen to, which is worship music.
What's been people's response to that?
Insane. Insane.
Just give us a little window. Like going from
I was worried I was going to lose followers. I don't care. I've never really cared about the number.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Same. Yeah. It's how we run Shine Supply. Like we're doing us.
Yeah.
And we'll rise and fall.
It was awkward making that transition because you're obviously going to lose people. Whatever.
Yeah.
You're never meant to be in your life. Period. Mm-hmm. Cool. The outreach on the direct messages is back to where it was in the beginning. How did you do it? What can I do? Mm-hmm. What do you recommend? On the back end of all of this quietly that I don't talk about. I'll talk about it here. I'm working with men. They're going to recovery. They're leaving pregnant wives at home with kids to go get clean, to go get sober, to find God. I'm bringing men to church that I would have never expected. Like, I do weird things. We got into it, and I was telling you, like, cut up watermelon, and I put it in my stupid cooler with
You do weird things, Rick?
Yeah, watermelon, and I freeze it. I drink kombucha now, and I take it over, and I stock up when I go to see someone, and it's like, why? I don't know. But, I know I'm changing men's life. They're going to church. They're leading their families to God. You're changing generations.
That's right.
Right. Their family, their traits. Say you just bring one man to God. Well, he brings 2 or 3 people with him, and they bring up another person. Like, that number adds up over time. It's like compounding interest in your bank account, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the freedom, too.
That's right.
Like, I did that with God. Or God did that through me. I'm just a freaking tool over here nowadays. It's like, I still want things, just not as bad anymore, right? I still have to work hard. It doesn't mean that you have God. You don't have to get up and go to work, and life gets easy. I tell you what, it gets hard, bro. It gets tough. It gets hard.
Finding satisfaction outside of
the little
things,
yeah, the stupid little things that I'm not big into babies. I've never been big into babies. I'm not a baby daddy. I don't think my wife is a baby daddy either. It's hard for her. She's an amazing mom. She's an amazing woman. God gave me her.
That's for sure.
For sure, bro. Yeah. For sure. Without my wife in my life, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
No, hell no. I'd be in prison for sure. He gave me her.
Something I told my wife the other day, literally just a couple of days ago, and I have never told her this. We've been together 27 years. And I said, I need you.
God created man to need a partner.
I know, but I've never, we have a lot of similarities with that. It's like, I don't like to need people. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy to be with somebody that long and just finally acknowledge that. Like,
dude.
Like, I need you,
And I haven't treated my wife well at all. You have all these people on social media, dude, I want to be like you. You're a great dad. You're a great father. You're a great person. It's like, bro. Yeah. If you only knew the things that I've said, the things that I've done, the things that cross my mind, you wouldn't say that.
But isn't it kind of liberating almost to bring people into behind the curtain? I mean, that's what's been happening in this podcast, because people, with my life, they saw Shine Supply and they saw this external, but it felt liberating to bring people behind the curtain and go, look, these are some of my failures. These are some of the things I've walked through, and this is the reality of what my life has actually looked like. And it has given so many people hope of because people put people on pedestals and then we're all struggling. And then we create this distance of I guess it's only me.
No, it's everyone.
And that guy's nailing life and so I think it's so powerful when we bring people
I'm
into
young
the reality
into
of what
all
we're
of this
through.
too, right? Like, I'm only half a year into this and bringing men to God. When I got baptized, they ask you 3 questions. I don't remember 2 of them, but I remember the last one. Will you bring men to God? And you're nervous as all hell, and you're about to get in the water, Yeah. You don't really know what that means until you come up from the water. For me, it was dude, it was different. That was different. It was like another level of different.
Yeah.
Right? Hitting my knees, praying, and puking out whatever was inside of me asking to see God and hear him clearly, to then getting baptized, to then yet another change in my life, right? To today, and being so young in all this. Like, I'm not a Bible thumper at all. I'm learning. I'm getting there. But I think the more I walk through all my crap, the more I'm going to be able to help others. And by being vulnerable, by being transparent, by being quiet, crying and letting people in behind the Iron Curtain is the only way to get there.
Yeah.
Because everything I've done, I've kept bottled up inside. And I did it on my own, and it sucked. You know? And I can sit here and say, well, if I had God the whole time, why did it end up the way it did? Because that's his plan. He's been there. He knows where I'm going. He's already been there. He's with me today. Like, this is his plan. People will go, oh, that man's broken. He had to break down and do all that. No, this was the plan, right? This was the plan. This was already set.
Or I would expand that to, like, I mean, obviously God doesn't want us to go through all this hard stuff, but
I think he does. I mean, but that's my interpretation of it.
But it's like he'll use the hard thing. I look at it as like, I'm a father, you're a father now. I would never look at my boys and be like, you know what? I really want my sons to go through a bunch of hard things and have a ton of suffering in their life. No, I would never want that, Rick, as a father. But the hard things my boys do walk through, because they have their own will, they can make their own choices, and a true father's love doesn't control, it actually creates space for them to make choices. I will be there to help pick up the pieces and help them learn from it. And that's how I look at God. It's like, I don't ever look at like, oh, is God planned for that person to die and this? It's like, dude, we live in a broken world. Mm-hmm. The Bible says that. It says, in this world you will face trouble, but take heart because I've overcome the world. Mm-hmm. So I know with him, all things are possible. I can not only just get through something, but like I will go through that and I will have some peace and some strength that I can share with other people, like with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, and this is just my interpretation of it, and I'm still, learning to read the Bible and understand it, because for me it's very difficult. I pick up more when I go to church and at men's group than I do sometimes reading the Bible, because then I have questions and they can get answered. So interpreting it is different. You're on a different level.
Well, I wouldn't
right?
say
No, but you are. I mean, I'm kind of new to all this, I had to suffer. I've had to suffer a lot. I'm still here. There's a reason for it. I didn't want to do this. I don't want my kids to suffer either. Just like you, I get to lead them to God. They are going to make choices. They're going to make some really shitty choices, and they're going to walk down that path, and they're going to have to decide what they're going to do later on in life, and I get to be here to help pick up the pieces. I get to mentor them now. I get to lead them. Changing choices. My life's going to change again in 6 months. It's going to change next month. And I have no control what's going to happen. I finally figured that out. I have no control. The only thing I can control is how I speak and what I do. Other than that, the world's going to do what it's going to do, and God's going to do what he needs to do in my life, and that's it. If that means I don't play in off-road cars anymore, then that's what it's going to be. If it means I'm going to be a welder the rest of my life, then that's what it's going to be. I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is I'm finally seeing things and feeling things differently. And I don't know if that's going to make sense to a lot of people. Yesterday was just watching my little son walk up a sand dune and struggle. But he got to the top. And that was a big deal for me. Because
Because that's life, you know? I just look at things differently. I see things differently. I hear things differently. I've kind of always been that kind of guy. I could see things differently. I could hear things differently. I've always said I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I've said that for far too long. I am the shed. I got the tools.
That's good.
I quit beating myself down.
That's good.
You know, I am who I am. And if I didn't suffer, I wouldn't be this guy today. God suffered. Jesus suffered. You know, I got baptized on Father's Day. That's heavy, dude.
That is heavy.
You know, I think about that a lot. Like, could I send my only son to die for your sins? No. No, you know, I couldn't. I wouldn't. No freaking way. And here's this man doing all of that for me, my son. You know, I struggle with a lot of things still, you know. And I got to get through all of that, you know. Work in progress, you know. It's funny at church, they brought up the serenity prayer all last month. All last month, the serenity prayer out of everything. Insane. That hit. You know, because here I am in church. They're ending in the serenity prayer. I've been saying that prayer for 25 years, bud. But it's different now, right? Like, I'm happy. I hurt. But I'm hopeful. Right? My life is good.
Bro, what I'm hearing is you're saying that there's freedom in feeling.
Yeah.
And you're in a season where you can feel.
Yeah.
And it chokes me up, dude, because it's like you're realizing it's safe to feel.
Yeah.
And it's what we avoid.
As
like
men.
we'll try so hard to avoid feeling.
Yeah.
And we'll cover it up with success and et cetera, et cetera. And you're like, I'm feeling, and the freedom is in the feeling, whether it's pain, joy. It's just being able to feel and be present. Like, that's the greatest feeling in the world. Like you just said, watching your son climb a sand, dude, like the stuff that we overlook because our mind's already somewhere else.
Bro.
Right?
It's hard staying in the moment. It's hard thanking God all the time. I have to do it a lot. Because if I don't, then I lose it quickly. And it's not that I'm losing it. It's just that there's this other dude out there just trying to take it from you. You know? There's good versus evil in this world. You know, when COVID hit, we went through some shit, my wife and I. You know, it's one of the reasons why we moved. She wanted us to move. I was happy to move. You know, about 9 months ago, 10 months ago, what are we at? October of last year, I was sleeping in the downstairs lawn. I was on my way to get a divorce, dude. Walking through that, too. Trying to do work. Staying present for the, you know, work and trying to be a dad. Walking through a potential divorce, sleeping downstairs for like 2 months. I didn't tell. No one really knows that part, you know. Her and I were going through it, and it was because of me. You know, she made some ultimatums, and I was like, you didn't tell me that, you know? I'm the man. That was hard. You know, I can tell you today, you know, we're not that anymore. I'm back upstairs. I've been upstairs for a long time, but
that's good, bro. You've been doing some work. I'm happy you're back upstairs.
I actually got rid of that bed too, by the way. Yeah, I turned that room into something else, but being
good,
vulnerable and letting people know that, you know, on the outside, you know, y'all think my life is just amazing. It has its moments, you know. also has a lot of bad moments, you know. I'd like to say we don't argue and we don't fight, but my wife and I do. I mean, it's not constant anymore. It's usually over stupid things that don't really, they're so, it's like,
Yeah.
and it's hard flipping that switch. That's where I'm at today. It's like, dude, that dial in my like controller is still getting turned down.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, and I'm still having to leave relationships. I'm that guy that, like, when I'm all in, I'm all in. I have to block and delete people out of my page constantly, and it's not because I'm upset with them. It's because it's not for me anymore.
Yeah, that's just life.
And people get offended by that.
That's just
They
life.
get so offended when you do that. It's like, it's not you, it's me. You know, that's all it is.
Yeah.
You know, walking through the whole thing with my wife and that struggle. That's an eye-opener, too. You know, I think that was another reason I leaned back to God. I didn't want to lose her. I was willing to get rid of absolutely everything in my life at that point to keep her. That's it. And I kind of have. You know? The adjustment part, when you turn to God, it's going to be awkward for people. It's hard. You're going to lose friends. You might even lose family members. If you're into your social media, you're going to lose followers. Who gives a crap? And that's hard for some people. I don't think it was hard for me. I flipped a switch. Like, I all in, you know? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a 2-year plan anymore. I don't make plans on Saturday and Sundays. I go to my men's group. Whatever happens after men's group, great. It's a bonus. We go to church. We don't just go for an hour. We hang out for like 3 hours when we're done. We go and we have a shake. We have hot dogs. We mingle. We meet with people. It's the first time we're meeting people.
That's awesome.
He's removing people out of my life and putting people and building blocks and men in my life. And they're the ones changing me through him, right? So I get the opportunity to bring men to God. They ask you that when you go to baptism. You open your eyes again, and it's like, it's a whole new world. You're going to go through it.
Yeah.
That's when you're going to get tested. I'm being tested. It feels like every day, dude.
Same.
But I'm still here, you know? And it's like,
Yep.
I know at the end of this, everyone calls them seasons. I'm still getting adjusted to the verbiage, right?
There's no verbiage, man. It's just like what's happening on your heart. And don't ever do that to yourself.
Yeah.
You said something a minute ago. You're like, you know, I'm not like a Bible thumper yet. It's like, bro, the whole goal, like if somebody's truly walking with the Lord, it's like you just want it to come out through your actions. Like you don't even want to have to open your mouth. So it's not about like learning the lingo or like, I mean, we're only wanting to learn more so that we can become more, not so that we can like fit into certain conversation circles, you know? So, but man, as we get kind of close to wrapping up, first of all, like it's just been incredible sitting with you and hearing this like for the first time. Yeah. I was excited. Like it's being happy for you. That's like a cheap statement, but like I feel you today. Like
Thanks.
I feel what's happening in your heart, in your life, and I'm just like celebrating it with you. And I know God has big things ahead of you. I love that you say you're not trying to like plan out the next year. It's like you're repairing, you're feeling, you're reconnecting with your wife, you're enjoying your kids, like, and God will continue to show up for you every day.
I'm learning how to be a dad.
Yeah.
That's hard, you know? So that right now is a big deal. That's hard. I didn't have that. So that's hard. But it's awesome.
Well, you're becoming what you needed.
Yeah.
But, you know, just as we close, it's cool. I had some questions here. We ended up like you went over everything. Like I love how that, you know. But just as we close, like let's leave whoever's listening to this, because this is the most important reason why we're even doing Wagon Pullers. Like, if someone's listening and they're stuck, maybe they're sober, maybe they're trying to get sober, but they're still empty. Like, what would you tell them right now?
Just stop. Just stop. Stop the noise in your head. Nothing happens until you make an action. Whether the action be hitting your knees and asking God for help, which is probably the first thing you should do, to checking into rehab, to getting counseling. You know, you have to start. You have to stop doing what you think you need to do inside your head and start doing what you know needs to be done. You know, for me, it was going to rehab. You know, that's where I met God again. And then for me, it was to, once again, change and ask God back into my life and listen, slow it down. That's been the biggest thing for me as of today, is slow it down. Pause, think, don't react, process. And sometimes just not saying a word. You know, that's...
What do you tell somebody that's lost hope?
You're an idiot.
No. You don't tell
If
that.
you've lost hope, honestly, why? I think people who lose hope are the ones that are slowly just giving up. And there's no reason.
So you're saying there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of reason to have hope.
I think if you lost hope, you're almost at your bottom, and you're going to get there. Because that's when, I believe, you know, God comes in. You know, I never thought about suicide until my sister's husband killed himself a few years ago. You know, and then I started thinking about that. It never came as a way out, you know, because I battled that with my mom, her taking her own life. Did she make it to heaven? And I try not to think about that, but if you've lost hope, it's probably the best time to go and talk to someone and get vulnerable, open up. You know, I sure as hell don't want to ever lose hope again. There's no point. You don't have to go to church. You just hit your knees and start talking to God. That's what I did.
Straight up.
Like, just started talking to him. I talk to him a lot, every day. Quiet, I've talked to him like 10 times in this conversation. I have. I compartmentalize. I can talk. And I'm praying over here.
The ultimate multitasker.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'll pray for you if you're losing hope. Talk to someone. Get it out. I mean, it's hard to see when a person's lost hope. It's up to that person to then make a conscious decision and go that way. That's it, no matter what. Right? If you're going to lose people in your life because you've given up hope, see ya. They were never meant to be there. You know? That's a hard one, dude. You know, for me to even answer, because I'm not a professional at it. I just know what worked for me.
Yeah. I liked your answer. Like, don't be an idiot. There's no reason to lose hope. There's no reason to lose hope.
I was so scared of what people would think of me when I started changing this way.
Oh, man, fear is like what holds everybody back, you know?
There's so many men, you know, that helped me, like Danny, you.
Yeah.
A gentleman named Brandon who would always just pop into my life and talk about God, but never push it on me. But it was there. He came from a different church to baptize me at my church.
I love it.
A man named Mike Stoll, who's been pretty big in my world, in Illinois. His little quotes, his little text that sent me. You know,
love it.
Little stupid conversations. And he always comes in right when you need it. Like, God's going to put people in your life like
Straight
that.
up. Yeah.
To lean on. Because what I have learned is not to lean on my wife on this stuff. What I have learned is not to dump this stuff on my true friends.
That's good.
Because all I was really doing then was pushing them away. Like, all this baggage. It's not baggage. These are all quality problems I get to walk through. I just don't have to walk through them with these certain people now.
That's good. Like, knowing who to take what to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And I always dumped it on everyone. Poor me, poor me, poor me. And everyone on the other end's going, poor you. Look at you. You drive linked Raptors. You live in a monster home.
Yeah.
You're in a gated community. I was homeless, dude. Everything that I have today is like, it's a bonus in my life.
Yeah.
You know? It's not a burden. This is all a bonus. This is all a blessing from God. God got me here. He broke me here.
Straight.
I had to suffer. And, you know, the rewards for me, I've always had them my whole life. I just never recognized it.
It's good.
You know?
All right. Last thing. Leave everyone with this. If you could summarize what Jesus has done for you in one sentence, what would you say?
He's given me the opportunity to love my family and others around me. That's it. And that's enough. That's enough.
That's beautiful. Well, brother, I love you. I'm thinking, you know, you drove all the way out here with your family from Arizona just to be on the podcast. You're the first guest, again, outside of my family, and this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know you're going to have a huge impact on whoever listens to this, and I pray that they get whatever peace that God has for them.
Me too.
I just want to thank you publicly, man. We're, you know, running out of time, but you have been a massive support for Shine Supply behind the scenes. You were the reason we had our banner on Diesel Brothers back in 2015, which put us in front of a lot of people. And you have never been entitled with me. You have never held that over my head or said I'm responsible for you blowing up. But you were the initial pivotal piece to really put a lot of eyes on my company. And I want to say that publicly and tell you thank you, because your heart behind the scenes, like, you know, for those of you listening, like you will still ask me, because I give you product, obviously it's the least thing I could do. And you didn't even do it for that.
I do.
But you'll still say, hey, can I get an extra bag of microfibers? That's not too much, is it? And these are conversations that no one hears. No. And that's where your heart is. And you can imagine I've had a lot of the opposite of that in my career from certain people, you know, that think they're responsible for us being where we're at, or they had this significant place. And maybe they did, but it's like there's so much entitlement out there. And you've also navigated my growth so well with me, because everybody does a great job critiquing until they're in your shoes. Mm-hmm. And when you grow a massive company from your garage, like it's one of the hardest things I've ever done, because you lose yourself here and there in that movement, and you're trying to hold your family together. There's so much, and no one's asking about that stuff, right? It's just the expectation they have of you to deliver for them. Mm-hmm. And you've just never done that to me. Like, you've never put pressure on me to be a certain thing for you, or to do something for you. It's just been a very free relationship, and I want to tell you thank you. Like,
thank you for acknowledging that. It's not a lot of people in the automotive industry.
No, it's meant the world to me, and especially in the social media world. It is a very give and take, and I understand the dynamic of that. But like, you have genuinely given to Shine Supply behind the scenes and not been a taker. Like, you have promoted my brand because I know you care about me and we're friends, period.
Can I say something else though?
Yeah.
It's not just that, and this is real. It's because I enjoy using it. I enjoy the process, because when I'm doing it, I'm talking to God. Like, that's my time, another part of my time. So why would I ever?
But I'm even saying, prior to you, like, finding God, like, you could have gotten paid by companies, mm-hmm. detailing product companies, to do what you did.
Yes, I've been asked.
And I never offered you $1, because that's just not in my framework. It's mm-hmm. like, I want people to support us because they want to, mm-hmm. you know? And especially back when me and you started to connect. And I just want to acknowledge you publicly because
Thank you.
it's meant a lot to me. And yeah, it hasn't gone unnoticed. And I want to thank you for that. So
I appreciate you.
But
I really do.
yeah.
It's a big deal. It really is.
Yeah.
It kind of reaffirms a lot of things that I've walked through life, trying to carry myself a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there was even a season where most of my talks with you, like you were kind of stuck in some things, and most of my talks with you were kind of just revolved around that. And I knew you were struggling, and I backed away a little bit just because I needed to, not because I didn't love you or I didn't care about you, but it's just like I had to let you kind of figure some stuff out, and you didn't attack me for that.
Yeah.
Which men will do, like, oh, you pulled away from me. And it's like, no, I have to protect my own peace. 'Cause I'm on my own journey over here. And I just, again, man, I just want to give you that respect publicly and share with you. Like, I could tell you that after we close off the cameras, but I want to say it in front of everybody. Like, it has been massive, and you've done it for free and out of the goodness of your heart. And I truly believe, being a believer myself, that like God talks about how he'll reward us for what we do in secret. And I think people need to realize that everything we do from a place of generosity or just genuine care or love, even though it's in secret, like God will bless it. And we are in such a generation where everything has to be public. Look, I did this, or, I'm sponsored by, and I understand that dynamic. But I also think we're getting so ripped off of some of the inner blessings. Yeah. We're so wanting the external blessings, and we're like ripping ourselves off from some of the inner blessings that come when you do stuff just because it's in your heart to do it. And that's what I'm acknowledging in you. You've done that for Shine Supply. I'm forever grateful. Yeah. And
you put the work in, so don't take away from this stuff.
I know I put the work in, but I want to acknowledge that, man, because I've talked to my son Colby about it a lot of times, and it's meant a lot, bro.
I appreciate
like
it.
A lot.
I love getting the DMs on Shine Supply. Like, I love them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I remember back in the day, dude, I was getting like 15, 20 a day. It's like you answer them all.
Yeah, and you could have hit me with that, bro. You're gonna pay me right now. I'm doing all these DMs. And I used to tell you, like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, you don't have to do this. And
I love it.
I want to. But everybody, thanks for tapping in. We're on a ride with Wagon Pullers. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Rick. Yeah. Thank you again,
Have
brother.
me back anytime you want.
Yeah, heck yeah. Yep. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys. God bless.